Hello everybody, welcome to the LJL 2020 Summer Split coverage brought to you by the LJL Officially Unofficial. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Goodbye Mars Swan, and of course, I'm joined by the ravishing man himself. That is Sam, Initialize Hapgood, and I am joined by his equal, that's right, the dashing... That is correct. Alex, otherwise known as Nymera Hapgood, the Hapgood brother duo combo. That is my color commentator and play-by-play caster. Gentlemen, we're going to be covering our match of the week. That being V3 Esports facing off against Detonation Focus Me. And high expectations are for both of for both of these teams. I was so good till the end. Take it away.
Yes. And as much as we are the Hapgood brother duo, we may as well be the right brothers because we want to try and take flight and keep up with both these teams at the top of the table. V3 first and foremost against all of our expectations. This has been one heck of a fast start by the boys in green.
Boys in green indeed looking to take it all, but Detonation Focus Me won't go down without a fight, and there's still a lot of expectations there on Detonation Focus Me, right, Initialize?
There are. For all the, by the eye test, if you remove the nameplates, V3 have been playing the better League of Legends, more consistently at least.
Sure.
There is still the weight of history against them. There is still the weight of narrative against them. This is our Spring Split champions. This is our Summer Split champions from 2019. Spring Split champions from 2019. I think they won Summer in 2018 as well. Like
they are our LJL 7-time winners.
Right. That is the kind of history you are going against. This is some of the players you are going against. Like, hell, Seros has been in this squad so long he is second only to Faker in terms of tenure in a team. That is how long this team has been.
I think Utapon is there as well by a day after, right? Or they're tied.
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty damn close. And for V3, if they want to stop the haters, stop the doubt, they need to take down DFM.
Absolutely. Well, that's a lot to ask, cause Boogie and crew have become maybe the best in their roles. They're currently 5-0, whereas Detonation Focus Me are 3-1. Now, DFM can tie V3 if they take the win here and then happen to go and beat Burning Core in their match afterwards. But there's a lot to think about. If V3 win this game against DFM, what does that mean for the league, Nymera?
I think it sets a lot of different expectations for us. It means that V3 truly are the team to beat. It means that we are looking to see them match or exceed potentially the win record of DFM from Spring Split, and that win streak they had of 9-0 they had before they were taken down by Sengoku, a team which they were taken down again by in this last week. What it also means is that DFM probably have to have a look at the way they're trying to play, because from what we've tried to see from them, they've definitely put themselves into a position where they want to outplay their opponent, and it's worked out more often than not so far. It's just whether it will get them across the finish line versus V3.
Same question, change the team, Initialize. DFM, what if they win against V3? What does that mean for the league and moving forward?
It means that our pre-split predictions are a little bit more secure. The DFM are still damn good.
Of course you're coming back to that.
Well, but like, I think this is just like more holistically. This is what people's like expectations were for this split. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is the champions coming in, looking good, looking mechanical, going up against the best team and taking them down. They have been going for skill checks. They have been taking risks. Some of them probably unnecessarily. They've been going for drafts that are a bit out there, probably unnecessarily. Is that them testing things? Is that them trying to push themselves to improve? Or is that where they think the meta's at? Difficult to say. It's left us with a few questions.
It really has given us a few questions for DFM. We've been thinking about DFM, and a big polar thing that Nymera actually briefly talked about for V3 is their drafting. And V3 has had arguably impeccable drafts, yet DFM have been doing their own thing still. So it raises a question, and it's not necessarily bad, it's just a way that they're deciding to draft has definitely put them in maybe more difficult spots in games, I would think would be fair to say, right, Nymera?
If I compare DFM to their spring state, it seems like the drafts they're going for leave them with very slim win conditions. And when you have these slim or even singular win conditions where you're waiting on a certain interaction to happen, waiting on, for instance, Seros playing Xerath to put out the majority of the damage, if that doesn't happen, you're in a problem. And the big thing is that when you do have slim win conditions, you're predictable because the other team identifies that. And if they do correctly identify that, they look at it and they go, we just have to avoid them doing this one thing.
I think
it means
that's
you have that spotlight on that.
Think of
Very
our
easy.
first game of the day, that being the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks facing off against Burning Core, and that was a big problem in that match. So 100% agree with you on that point, Nightmare. Though I think Initialize has something to say.
Yeah, like something just in that, like we've seen V3 come in with very strong early game plans, and that's great to see. For DFM, I think sometimes what it is it's like, if you want to be the best, you can play a particular style. We know how DFM can play.
We do.
If they want to step up a level, then trying to play these trickier comps, no tank comps, one win condition comps, that is something you can try and push yourself to do.
Yep.
It's early in the split, you can take those risks. Doing against V3, though, is a challenge.
It really will be a challenge. Well, gentlemen, that's all we've got time for pre-game. As this is a blast from the past, I have the control of when we go into the game. And our timer...
I am the LJL now.
I am the LJL. Oh my god, that's a video we could remake, but I don't think we should remake. Maybe for the 200th episode, spectacular for our podcast, our 200 episodes, 200. That's episode 200, not 100. Cosplay is still the
Isn't
podcast.
that the Phalios episode?
Maybe if he's still good as a champion. We'll have to wait and see. For that, gentlemen, it's about time that we get into this game. Both these teams, high expectations. Can DFM match V3 this week, or will V3 try and go a step beyond? We'll find out. Good luck to both these teams, and gentlemen, you know what time it is.
I do. It's time for Detonation Focus.
It's time to
duel, yes, between V3 and DFM here, and we're into draft. Of course, it's Detonation Focus Me on the blue side this time out. It will be Ebi in the top lane, Steel in the jungle, the Emperor of the Japanese League of Legends scene, Seros in the mid lane, of course, Utapon and Gang down in the bot lane.
V3, we saw them once before today already, and looking to close out week 3 undefeated. In the top lane, it's Paz. In the jungle, it's Boogie. Mid lane, Ace. And in the bot lane, Archer and Reiner.
And that bot lane is something I want to keep an eye on, because V3 have been so adamant about playing around it. Utapon and Gang, though, aren't exactly slouches down there. They leveled Sengoku's bot lane in the finals, and they've been known to do it before. They're going to need to do it this game, I suspect.
Yes.
Seeing some of the bans come through, it's the Galio away from Ace, which I like. It's the Kalista away from Archer, which I also really like.
I do like that. However, Aphelios still unbanned. Ezreal still unbanned. The Yuumi also been untouched. The V3 have their pick of the litter if they do want to go for that handshake ban. They have one left remaining. It's going to be the Trundle away from Steel, one of the longest standing Trundle players in the LJL, who was playing it last year when it was out of meta. He's been playing it now. It's into it, and they're hovering over an Aatrox.
It's an interesting first choice. It's a takeaway from Paz. Maybe it's just asking, well, what have you got to play against us? We know that Paz is a great Wukong player, and Wukong's not bad into Aatrox.
Gangplank.
And instead, it will be the Twisted Fate that has been rising in priority across the globe for Seros. Great setup, great roaming. We know DFM at their best play side lanes and globals very well. It does mean Phalios has been left open for Archer, though.
Potentially, this allows you to lock in an Ezreal Yuumi if you see that as well. They're thinking through their options, and they potentially want to take away a jungler as well from Steel. Could go towards something like the Graves, which is also left open.
And Boogie is a fabulous Graves. We'll see what they go towards. Maybe something like the support pick would make a bit of sense here too. But they've got 20 seconds to decide. So I could see the Thresh. Of course, Reiner is probably the best Thresh player on form in the league at the minute from what we've seen.
Yes, I'd agree.
There are other competitors within the league. Proud's great. Gang on the other side here has destroyed teams on Thresh before. But it will not be the Graves lock-in. It will be the early power pick of Lee Sin for Boogie. He does a lot with it.
The reason I like this is it gives you the ability to gank mid lane when TF wants to be moving out of it. You take the fight to that mid laner, and once again, we're seeing an Ashe out of an LJL team suddenly propping up in...
Something's been happening in scrims, I suspect.
Yeah, or maybe it's just that lag effect on those buffs which were there for Ashe. You know, her Q at max rank now gives you 60% attack speed.
That's huge.
It's a huge steroid on auto attacks. It gives the ability to fight around that level 13 mark when that has been maxed out. Gang gonna find his way over onto a Tahm Kench, denying that away from the Aphelios as the Ashe counter, and gives the Ashe a bit more protection in team fights.
And DFM, I named the globals. That is Destiny. That is Enchanted Crystalline Arrow. That is an Abyssal Voyage, which all allow you to impact the map far beyond just what's on your screen. V3 need to be kind of aware of that and need to be keeping track of those if they don't want to get picked off. But of course, that does leave open some options for the green team here, and it will be a reprise of Reiner's superb Thresh.
I was potentially wondering if there was going to be that tank fiddlesticks locked into the mid or the top lane.
We've seen
Been left for another day so far, though. Of course, solo lanes yet to be picked for V3. They're denying the Renekton away from Ebby. I like that. If you put locked in that heavy CC lane bully top laner, it allows you to teleport up there with that Twisted Fate or with the Ashe Arrow or with the Tahm Kench as you're talking about those globals, and just put the issue onto Paz on a weak side top laner.
Yeah, I can see that. We've got to think about maybe a Wukong band here would make some sense, as you're kind of potentially talking about.
Could also be an Aatrox band.
Yeah, Aatrox would make sense. We know that. Syndra away from Ace also is pretty good option. He is a great Syndra player. It makes a lot of sense with how much pick they've got already. And especially against like TF, you can bully a TF as Syndra.
Yeah. And so I believe Ace's Syndra has only had one loss across his career, and that was ages ago as well. It wasn't on this current V3 lineup, as far as I'm aware. He had a huge KDA last split. I think it was an undefined KDA. In fact, across last split, he was that good across 5 or so games he played of it. V3, what are they removing now? Removing the Kale away from Ebby. This is a little bit more flavor banned from V3. I'm not sure the Kale. Maybe this is a scrim result.
We've seen it across the globe a lot recently. A lot of the European top laners have been going towards it. We've seen it a fair amount in the LCK as well. When you have got set up to come and like play the 1-3-1 with so many teleports, throwing in a Kale on top of that is pretty scary. And if you want something that can outscale an Aphelios, well, Kale's not bad at it.
No, it's not bad at all. So DFM choosing to ban away the Ornn from Paz, very defensive top laner. It gives you that ability to disengage and engage as you see fit. This leaves open LeBlanc for Ace. It leaves open Zoe. Also leaves open something like a Karma, which is something which Seros plays a lot of.
Yeah, that's actually very true. I've not considered that would be a good option. Instead, though, Ace's LeBlanc has been left open, and he is a very good LeBlanc player, ladies and gents. It's a bit of a surprise to leave that open.
But it's not an awful lane for the TF. We talked about this a little bit on cast beforehand. You can go either way in this mid lane matchup in isolation.
Okay, Ebby's thinking about the Wukong here. I can't say we were all that impressed by his choice of the Wukong the last time out. It feels like something that Ebby should be able to be good at, but we kind of heard, if anybody was watching the NALCS the other night, Licorice saying, the Aatrox Wukong matchup, pretty non-interactive, you should come out fairly even. Ebby went down 40 CS in it. That isn't great.
Even with the pressure on his lane.
Even with the pressure on his lane. He's got to lock it in. We've got to hope for a little bit more of a successful performance out of Ebby here, and they're thinking about going for a Pantheon jungle to team up with the globals they've already got. It's a lot of team fight. It's a lot of like wombo if they can jump on a lot of people at once.
And the thing is, with so many globals available to them, it's not as simple as, we can just go top lane. It now gives the option to go across the map. You can go into mid lane with the gold card. You can go bot lane and use the Ashe Arrow. You can go top lane and use the Cyclone. What this means is Paz is left thinking, okay, right, what do I want that can respond to these players and potentially survive them as well? It's going to be the Maokai. We saw this in game 1 of that semi-final matchup from Spring, where V3 did unfortunately lose versus DFM, but Paz's Maokai, who was supported by a Yuumi that time, was ungodly levels of tanky even in that loss.
Okay, so decent team fight from both squads, but way heavier side lane focus, way heavier global focus from Detonation Focus Me. V3 on the other side have the Maokai, have the Aphelios, which will be huge back to front team fight with a bit of pick from that LeBlanc, a little bit of playmaking from a Lee Sin, a Thresh. I suspect we might be seeing that vertical jungling attempted from V3 again, because they've got the setup for it with a LeBlanc and a Lee Sin to come and dive.
I'm not sure particularly. I think vertical jungling might be a trap you fall into when you're against a Pantheon jungle.
Okay.
So remember, vertical jungling can often leave you some weirder inroads into that mid lane, and then when you've got gold card into Pantheon stun, or the other way around, when the LeBlanc might be taking teleport or ignite. I didn't see which summon a spell and Ace ended up leaving on there, but with no cleanse available, and obviously in that early into the game, no Merc Treads, no Banshee's Veil, can be an option to exploit for DFM.
Okay, so this feels like a pretty coherent draft from both squads. What are you thinking in terms of your favor here?
I'm thinking that DFM need to abuse their pick potential, because I think in a front-to-back team fight with a Maokai being backed up by an Aphelios with the Thresh pick CC, DFM could fall apart at the seams if they don't find a good flank or a good pick with their CC beforehand. However, you have the split map potential from DFM. We just need to see them stick to that win condition rather than just relying on outplaying.
Okay, so V3, we know they index into early 5-10 minute game plans where they can start to snowball and get certain lanes ahead, namely the bot lane. It's that Aphelios Thresh lane we've seen from them so many times before. DFM looking to play a slightly trickier comp one more time. And again, that's fine. We understand it, but we need to see the execution out of this squad that has sometimes been a little off the boil in recent weeks.
Yes, I think that's one way to describe it. So, on to the Rift. 5-man fan, no invades just yet. Although, actually, as I'm saying that, looks like TF, Wukong, and Pantheon will be heading towards that top side, potentially setting up that vertical jungling, which, of course, you were saying V3 might want to do. I said, oh, maybe DFM have more tools to impact the mid lane were that to happen.
Yeah, TF just wants to play a magic trick with Lee Sin. Just, like pick a card, any card. You don't get a choice. It's going to be a gold card. You can get stunned in place. It's a stunningly good magic trick. That's how it works, man. It's just like so in awe of his card tricks.
I'm going to bring my own cards next time. I don't trust his.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a stack deck.
Especially when he's got like an explosive red one in it. I'm like,
explosive paper.
Do you have a license for that?
How do you get a license for exploding cards?
I don't know. Presumably TF knows, or presumably has avoided knowing.
Okay, so I suppose we ought to point out it's not vertical jungling for once, though DFM did get a ward on this red buff, so they know where Boogie is starting, which is good news for DFM and Pantheon in general, knowing where to go. It'll be topside starts for both.
Potentially allows, because it looked like Archer and Rhino did not get first of the wave there. Ooh, actually a decent trade coming out from DFM's bot lane.
That's a big use of the tongue lash there. Big trades that we can see from the volley and the slow from that tongue is pretty obnoxious. You can kind of see how that combo works.
It reminds me back to Ebby's top lane Tom Kench. What a terrifying thing that was. So priority over to DFM's bot lane using that Ash wave clear early.
And that's the first time in a while we haven't seen V3's bot lane kind of aggressively get the first push in lane.
And part of that is because I think they were trying to fake a leash, and they went late into lane after the Ash had got several auto attacks and a volley onto the wave, meaning that the wave was already pushing towards them.
And that's partly what the early vision onto that red buff earned them, because they knew it was fake, because they saw where the Lee Sin was.
Speaking of that, though, actually, Paz and Ebby trading heavily in the top side, and Ebby not getting the better of that trade. It's gone even.
He's got a health pot in inventory, though, whereas Paz has already burned his, so there's something to be said for that.
Both have baskets.
Yeah, both have baskets.
And Sap Magic.
And and Maokai has the glorious passive Sap Magic, which is, well, you just saw it. Most of his health bar is straight back, whereas Ebby is still kind of waiting for a little bit more regen here.
He is just checking these jungle paths. Boogie gone from red to blue over to his wolves, keeping himself centrally aligned in this map, potentially looking if there's a play to be made mid lane, which makes sense because Ace currently has priority there and doesn't want to go too deep into spot side in case he does get caught out by a roaming Tahm Kench Ash backed up by that Pantheon.
Okay, wards are all down, so Steel is out of vision. He's going to move towards the now spawning Scuttle Crab you can see in the very top right of the screen. And as I speak of it, the observers are there to show the Scuttle Crab takes from both jumpers.
They are indeed. So, looking at these early laning stats, nothing really to note besides that priority. We talked about the bot lane going towards this Ash and the Tahm Kench. Top lane going towards that Maokai after that early trade. But maybe that's just Ebby choosing to back off, knowing that Boogie could be towards that top side and still had prioritized that bot lane Scuttle.
So a little ping out of Ace there as well, just spotting Steel on the early ward as he moves towards his Raptors. With Boogie kind of looking towards the top side, realizing there's nothing there. We'll see a bit more trading in the bot side. It was a good hook, but trading back from DFM is certainly available. Was about half of the Tahm Kench's health bar, though, which is a bit scary. Hawk shots, see if it spots out the Lee Sin. Does see the Raptors going down, so they know exactly where that champion is.
I'm actually not sure if Boogie was seen on visions. They would have actually had to be panning over to it themselves, seeing that camp was already gone. I'm actually not sure they spotted it. True, they saw the camp was dead. Saros doesn't know, does he? He's walking very far up.
Very far. He's going to be very, very careful. Okay, there's the chain. I think he's done here. He's going to pull out the gold card. That's there. He gets it onto Ace. He's going to try and run away, but Boogie under tower can't quite get it, and Saros gets to walk away without burning summoners.
Doesn't burn any summoners, but with this huge wave, I'm wondering if he has to back off right now. No, he does have corrupting pots taken. So he feels safe enough to stick around for the rest of that wave, and it's good because that would have been a double wave crash for him, which he would have lost.
Interesting to see those win percentages there. I think that might be partly on the Wukong here, which has
Potentially.
been very strong largely in the LJL.
And actually, for once, LeBlanc is not the highest win rate in the LJL. It's been
No.
high bans, but not necessarily picking up all the wins here in the LJL. Not sure on the exact stats, though.
It's partly because we've started to see more mid laners that can get out of lane, impact the rest of the map, supportive or global. TF comes to mind, Karma comes to mind, Galio comes to mind. We've seen that a little bit more globally as Reiner has
harder to abuse in lane.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry for cutting you off there. I just saw Reiner in the bush down there. Thinking that's a very aggressive position.
You cut yourself off at the end of the day. Hey, you can choose what you want to do, brother.
Well, we're going to see another fight. Ebby's gone forwards and he's found a Boogie instead. But here comes Steel, the flash in. They're going to turn it around. Paz goes down for first blood. Great counter gank, and Boogie has to run for the hills.
He does, and for once, it is V3 that are losing the early fight. Boogie counter-ganked by Steel. Both flashes burned from the top jungle duo, though. It will be Paz teleporting back into lane.
Level 6 now hit for Ebby. Maybe they think about a Cyclone play here, but it's a lot of HP and double armor, so probably a bit risky with only a Doran Shield in infantry. Good hook,
lands,
but of course, Devour.
This is the fish on the line, taken away by Gang.
And that's kind of part of the strength with this, because Ashe is obviously very mobile. You can reposition her super well with this. The similarities with Varys kind of abound on that front. Okay. And thus far, it's been a good start for DFM. They are up over 1,000 gold. And it's first blood onto a Pantheon. It's an even lane in everywhere else. That's great to see for DFM. That has been a little bit coin flip in some of these early games of late.
It has been sometimes. It is still both flashes burned and not a wave denied for the Malachi. Gets back in time, uses the teleport. Maybe that's the big win, particularly when TF has the ultimate available. It means that Paz would not be able to respond to a bot lane play. Knowing that, Archer and Reiner, they reset. Archer's going to head back towards that bot lane, whereas Reiner's going to use the chance to set up some vision, potentially for this dragon, which is now alive. I'm wondering whether the Destiny is going to be used for the Herald or for this dragon, but given the priority towards this bot lane river, it might be towards that dragon.
Steel has got level 6, Boogie does not as yet, and that is potentially a big sticking point. There is teleport available for Ebby and not for Paz as well, so a Wukong teleporting in for a Cyclone is pretty terrifying. It will be a 5 versus 4, and I can see V3 being a little wary of that as DFM decide to try and take advantage of that teleport disadvantage that V3 have put themselves in with where the early dive went. And we'll see the dragon started.
Gang also used the Dominion Dematerializer there to get priority in the mid lane. Uses it on the cannon wave, uses his relic stack, means that LeBlanc does not, would have to use her ultimate to clear out that wave. And at this little point in the game, it's on a relatively long cooldown. I like what Gang did there. Just secures the priority, means that Destiny Gate is available to impact this fight. And V3 say, okay, right, this dragon's gone. We don't need to worry about that now. Let's go do something else on the map.
Okay, so we are now cresting that near to that 8-minute mark where the Herald spawns, but it's now up to about a 1,500 gold lead for DFM off what we've seen from the good lanes and the early sort of pressure they've earned. There are still those flash disadvantages on the top side of the map, though, and Boogie with level 6, an easy setup with a Maokai could look to outplay. Of course, it's versus Cyclones and Clones, and that can get a little bit risky.
So my worry is that if you try and dive a Maokai, he has ultimate, he has aftershock, and he has a Bramble Vest too. So there are plenty of ways where he doesn't die in these dives. Diving with so much CC available, grabs some ult misses. Oh, he's going forward anyway.
Flash in for the Binding Eclipse, but Utapon just gets to walk out in the end. It'll be flash for flash.
It's also the ultimate down from Utapon. He had to ult Reiner there to stop him following up with a hook.
Well, that's what you get for being in the 1v2. Nice try from V3. It'll be an even trade across the board in terms of summoners. Binding Eclipse and the minion wave does
makes the angle hard.
Excuse me, Utapon from the hook. Boogie, though, back in mid lane. Soros has to be a little bit wary, but Steel is up on that top side of the map.
Hog shot spots him.
That was a pretty clutch play. Saros was a bit wary. And another attempted gank mid is averted.
It is. So, once again, Boogie, like I was saying right from draft, Lee Sin can gank mid. You can go to the source of one of the globals and try and make life a little bit more difficult, remove the TF, and then move somewhere else to try and make a play. As it is, Saros managed to survive these couple of ganks. One thing which I praised Pyrion for in his first TF game was making himself hard to gank. Saros doing very much the similar kind of thing, and keeping himself a point of pressure on the map.
And smart team calls well to get the hawk shot over, just because, like, I think there might be somebody in this bush. I kind of want to go help at the Herald. Not sure I can do that. And he rightfully couldn't.
Yes. Particularly when, like we were saying, all of these big ultimates were available for DFM. Potentially, if Archer had made his way up to the top lane, top side of the map, they could have maybe gone towards that, but they don't want to give too much of a free lane over to this Ashe. We know what she can do when she is ahead. Instead, they try and put the Ashe behind, commit the flash from both. Well, commit the flash from Archer, trade it for Utapons. They don't get anything for it, unfortunately.
They don't.
Besides that.
And we are going to see as well, that's First Blood, that's First Dragon, that's First Herald, all the way of DFM.
It's not First Tower yet, but they do have the Herald, so presumably they'll be looking for some players.
And we're looking at the Cutlass build from Ashe here, good sustain. She's going to build that later the ranking, which is nice versus the Maokai. It is a little less bursty, though, and potentially if Archer can find his way to 3 items, there could be some danger. Is he stepping forward to get a plate? Yeah, there is Ashe available, and there's not all that many ways to save this guy. He's got Cleanse, though, so it would have to we'll probably force that summoner rather than anything more.
I like how V3 are communicating that. They know that TF is reset, and they know that potentially TF could be walking down that bot lane to ult into the lane, so they do back off. Now you see Reiner hanging back, has the Lantern available. Even if the Pantheon and TF roaming duo were to come in, they would have a way out of the situation.
Gold card and Ace has gone forward. He's going to try and find his way out, but Steel can't quite get close enough before the gold card runs out. It was a nice idea if they'd managed to get Steel just a touch closer. They could have frozen Ace in place before the Distort was back up. Here comes the Destiny go. They're going to try and get out of here. There we go. Paz now being dived under the tower. We said it could be risky, but there's not that much built up magic resist-wise. They're going to try and get him out. There is a Cyclone. They do get the kill and get out.
They do. It's a 3-man. The clone just throwing me for a loop there. It is 3 ultimates committed. It is a kill onto Paz, so it is still something for it. But that's a lot committed from the side of DFM.
Yes, and Ace is still here trying to find something on the retreat, but DFM do manage to back away. All right, that'll be the end of that. It's the kill, but as you said, a lot of ultimates burned. It'll be a minute and a half before this dragon, so perhaps some of them will be back up, but they are fairly long-winded cooldowns, especially at first rank.
Put it this way, you're putting behind top lane, that's fine. It's not like no one on V3 is picking up those waves, and you use 3 ultimates to do so. What this means is that Archer and Reiner, with this huge priority, strong kill pressure bot lane, are not being punished at all. You're still allowing this Ophelos to scale up to his items. I'm wondering if DFM should have looked to try and prioritize facing off against that bot lane, but with how safe they're playing, it's not an easy gank.
And it's also worth pointing out that while they were pushed up, it's only just now that the pink ward that was in the red pink ward that was in the tri-brush of DFM side of the river has just gone down. There were so many wards around that dragon pit that it would have been very difficult for DFM to get close enough without being on vision.
It was also very close to Ace being able to cancel that teleport from Zeros. He managed to get the chain onto him as he was channeling that the Destiny Gate, as far as I'm aware. Just ended up channeling for that route. It's not a quick cancel for LeBlanc.
No, it's not. And like the Destiny Gate was being started early enough that he managed to get out. It was a nice attempt by Ace, but didn't manage to come through. And that has all in all led DFM to still being around that 1500 to 1800 mark ahead. There is Blade of the Ruin King in for Ashe, no Infinity Edge in for Aphelios.
And importantly, this is just before the Dragon Spawn. First item for the Ashe, not for the Aphelios. We'll see what DFM can do because they don't have those ultimates still. Do they want to fight without those key tools available?
They've got a lot of strength here with the Warrior Enchant on Pantheon as well, and a Black Cleaver for Wukong.
Mid, that's one thing to buy themselves some priority. Ace might just let this go, though.
Gang spin hook, he's walked into it. That's a fair amount of damage. He has to flash out, but Boogie's going over the wall. Now that Lee Sin's potentially in a difficult space. He needs to use the ward over. And actually in mid lane, there's a lot of plates going down. Seros will walk up and try and take a third plate with the blue card. Does a lot of damage right now, but decides it's possibly a risk, and it's just moving all over the place. No one has started the dragon after that attempted play. It'll just be plate gold over to
Utpon's pushed up here. He could get caught.
He could. He's in a bit of a risk. He's got flash. He's got heal. He might need to burn it. The arrow misses. Good backstep from Boogie. Kick into the wall. Flash forward from Archer. They're going to try and get onto Utpon. They don't kill him, though. It's all gone wrong. The ult misses as well. And now DFM are turning it around. What a misplay from V3. They're going to find Utpon under the tower as Paz flashes in to get that. But it's already 2 dead. And here comes the man drop. And that's another stun forward. Cyclone over the wall, and Ace is trying to get away from the second Cyclone, and the inclement weather patterns continue. 5-1 now at DFM on the score as Paz is devoured by this Tahm Kench. He's going to try and run away. I'm not sure.
He's out of mana. I don't think Paz can escape this.
He's going to be in a lot of trouble, and TF is going to run down as well, perhaps. Here comes the second stun, and it's just buying time. Can the cards pick it up? Yep. And that is now 6-1, and a dive bot that goes horribly wrong after a heal just saves the life of Utapon.
I'm sure we're going to go see a replay of that because so many different things happened. In fact, that's where it's coming now. We're going to start actually with the play onto Utapon. Misses the ult, Boogie goes for a flash, and I wonder if he could have just timed out that Q a little bit later, or maybe ward hopped forward, but with the flash available from Ashe, gets under that turret and survives on a sliver of HP. Even if the Ashe had died very early into that fight, with the amount of teleports channeled, of course, we were thinking about the ultimates beforehand, the ultimates come in to chase down the rest of this play. One thing which has been unfortunate for V3, they tried to go for the play while those ultimates were down, tried to fight around there, get the flash out of Gang when he was caught in River, but the play lasted so long, those ultimates came right back up, and then DFM used them to great effect.
Well, 202 is not 404, but it seems to be most of DFM that have been doing that, and V3's team fight not found as yet. Ace stepping forward, Chain does land. Boogie's in the river, doesn't decide to come in because Saros managed to make his way into tower, and with the second Herald spawned, DFM are looking to contest for that. Boogie, though, still off of vision, but will hop out. Looking good for Detonation Focus Me early on here.
Two early dragons, getting both heralds, getting all the plates as well. And well, not only the plates are now fallen off, but they got a number of plates in that mid lane and the top lane too. But everything's going the way of DFM. Got to see how they transition into a mid game now with these ultimates. Can they make it stick? Can they stop V3 from forming this phalanx with the Aphelios free firing in a team fight? That is a huge victory vote for DFM.
That is 3,000 gold lead at 15 minutes. That is a lot of dragons and double herald. Good news for DFM. On the other hand, though, V3 do still have options to blow up the Ashe. They do have options to get this Aphelios to late game and blow people up in a team fight. That front to back we talked about is still good there. And if V3 can stall and force DFM into grouping up around Baron to try and contest for that, the global comp becomes significantly less threatening. That is 10 minutes away from being a realistic possibility at best, but maybe V3 have to play for that now.
Potentially. I like how Boogie has tried to pick off people on their own, but the kills have just not been registered early enough. And when they have looked towards Saros, like I've been saying, he's found himself very hard to take advantage of. He's going to go into this enemy jungle, and at least he's still trying to pair up with Ace. We know how Ace is a very proficient LeBlanc player, but that does seem to be the win condition right now.
It does. Boogie once again in this river. I think it's the third or fourth time I've seen him in that kind of bush, in that kind of position. Saros once again just finds his way under tower, and not a lot found as yet.
With Merc Treads and a Rod of Ages built up for the TF, he's hard to zero out that extra HP. And the magic resist, and of course the tenacity which goes along with it, making him a tough target to finish off. Ebby going to steal the Raptors just as Boogie did in DFM's jungle, and evening up that camp score.
Okay, so DFM now starting to try and push in on this mid lane turret. They're going to summon the Herald as well. Single charge will do all that is required. The zoom out from the observers shows where everybody is. Ace hopping forward to try and clear out the wave. They're just going to leave the Herald to do its due diligence. Mid lane turret falls. Go forward. And
now you have no mid lane outer turret to hold yourself some priority while this TF, the Pantheon, and all the other globals start wreaking havoc on these side lanes. V3, you're going to have to be very, very wary of where people are on the map. Communicate effectively, see if you can counter any of these plays, because Ace doesn't have that tower to fall back to anymore.
His first turret as well. It's pretty late into the game, but that's kind of how bloody a lot of this game has been. And Wukong and TF didn't really want to be pushing forward for turret plates ad infinitum. It would have been a bit risky, and with the way that top lane has kind of been the focus for DFM, there wasn't room for the Ashe and the Time Camps to do that either.
Yeah. And knowing that the globals are available, Ace can't even walk up and wave clear this bot lane.
He's just what was a bit risky.
Yeah, Ace, well, he just stops steals back. That can potentially help. That can potentially help Archer and Ryan push up in the mid lane, knowing, okay, right, Pantheon's not wants to reset, can't reset right now because he's been stopped. Maybe we're free to push another wave in mid lane. And speaking of that, Archer has been the person who has been sitting and farming for V3. He can potentially set up these team fights. If V3 have a win condition, of course, it's Mr. 200. Archer has shown what he can do on this champion, as have many other players in the LJL. Now with Ebby stuck under this top lane turret, potentially a play to be made. No, V3 say too many tools once again available for V3. The Hawk shot actually spotting out Boogie on that top side of the map as well. They back off when the player Ebby is free to play in top lane.
You say that, but Boogie's not going anywhere. And Ebby's still going forwards. He knows the Lee Sin is there, right?
He does know he's there. He's just cleared out. In fact, he just cleared out Ebby's pink one. He goes, you're attacking that ward. I'm going to attack your tree.
Indeed, that's just rude. You know, you're like. I know that attacking someone's ward is rough, but you don't respond in kind like that. It's just awful. War crime, I tell you.
We're all environmentalists here. We love our trees.
Not that we're not tree crest, but we appreciate the message, right? Okay. It is a Cloud Rift. Cloud Drake is spawning in 2 seconds. It's 19 minutes into the game, and DFM have already got the first 2. They are now moving over to take this. Do V3 want to contest? They've got first items coming in. Look at the Ludens, the Warriors, the Infinity Edge. That is good news. Perhaps they can look to fight this, but they're just nowhere near, and they're all towards that top side of the map, and will instead seed this one. It's only third Drake, and it is, in fairness, Cloud Soul, which is less impactful.
The actual stats from the Cloud Dragons, though, are going to be impactful for DFM because, of course, all their ultimates are ones they want to be using across the map. And they do want to have that uptime on their ultimates available because what I've said is, what about when they use those 3 ultimates on Paz under the top lane turret? Now it means that V3 have a window of time where they can farm safely or look for the players themselves. Now that is a 10% shorter window of time to do so, and that can affect how V3 want to play this game. It makes it harder for them to potentially get up to the items they need to win team fights, win 1v1s, and win skirmishes.
That is the space to be at for V3 and for DFM right now. They're up about 4,500 gold. It's still continuing to grow. We're looking as the towers are starting to fall. It's only that top outer tower that's still remaining. DFM are starting to split the map up. V3 still holding on, still looking to scale, still looking to make sure that Archer will be a threat come these late game team fights. Okay. Their jungle and top are not in the best spaces, don't get me wrong, but as long as that AD carry is viable in team fights, they have got a way in.
They do have a way in. V3, what I'm wondering is that maybe they want to give up the next Cloud Dragon, give away the soul and go for an Elder fight. Maybe that's the way back into the game because they say, look, okay, if we win a fight around the next dragon, it gets us 1 Cloud Dragon. That really doesn't mean much to us. If we wait 10 minutes, though, and try and fend off Baron during that time, we can then go for either a Baron Elder trade or go for the Elder ourselves and fight around that. And maybe that's a way into the game. It would be messy, it would be long. We need to see whether they fall too far behind for that to be relevant, though.
Okay, well, Saros now has gone for the Zhonya's second, just making sure he doesn't get picked, and there is a lot of pick available. And just that ability to push up the sideways more aggressively is something that DFM is kind of been known for over this split. They've played the sideways very well.
And if they're communicating very well, as it looks DFM are doing in this game, if you pop that Zhonya's, it buys another couple of seconds for Steel to get in range of his ultimate. What about Ebby coming in with a teleport or Gang coming in with the Abyssal Voyage? You're relatively tanky with that Rod of Ages and now various resistances built up, also buffed up by a Mountain Dragon as well. Potentially now you can't shut down the source of that global in that Destiny Gate. Youth Pump being jumped forward though by Ace, devoured up, no damage taken.
Well, that is kind of making the life of Archer, or rather Boogie and Ace pretty tricky. Like, they try to catch Saros, he's pretty tanky, he's got Zhonya's, he's got a Rod of Ages, he has a stop, all of that kind of deal. He's staying on the tower, trying to catch out this Ashe, who just picked up a Runan's Hurricane, by the way. And she's got a Tom Kench next to her. She's got an enchanted crystalline arrow. Like, it's not easy work for this LeBlanc and Lee Sin in this game.
No, it's not. And speaking of that, Lee Sin, we'll have to revisit that point where Lee Sin starts falling off throughout a game. What is his utility compared to a Pantheon? The Pantheon has that point and click dedicated stun. And also, if you're trying to flash kick someone, the Tom Kench can just devour them midair. There are ways you can protect your AD carry, which means that Boogie has even, we were talking about slim win conditions for DFM in some of their previous drafts. It's kind of looking like that for V3, at least in some of their roles. Boogie doesn't have too many things he can do in this game, and this is the guy which V3 have crutched upon so much because he is such a good player.
Yeah, and this is the first time this split I feel like Boogie hasn't been dominating the jungle, or at least being a big threat. He's just been kind of quiet. There was that really unfortunate play on Utapon where they misread the damage by about 50. But Ebby, in a bit of trouble, has to flash out. That was a bit aggressive, shoving up without sight. Gang has to flash away. The Boogie's coming in, and maybe we spoke too soon. V3 looking to find a fight. They don't get it as yet, but Ace now diving forward. Gang has nothing left. There is still a heal. Maybe it will have to be burned. Gang just about surviving, and now the re-engage is here. But wait, that's a shutdown onto the Wukong. Ebby's gone too deep, and now Reiner is available. So is Archer. Saros has gone golden, and
Archer's still firing.
Is doing as much damage. But Archer, you're right, is still firing, is still healthy, has got Infernum, and so much damage. This is what we talked about. The Aphelios finds a massive team fight with Baron on the table and 200 years of waiting. V3 find 4.
Out of nowhere, Archer brings V3 out of the pit, and he does it with all the weaponry he can bring to bear. Infernum going wild across the team fight, and with 4 people dead from Detonation Focus Me, V3 set their eyes on Baron.
Oh my days, DFM had it all. They've still got a gold lead, but they're going to lose Baron after that fight went so cataclysmically wrong. Ebby got caught in a sidewave, and oh, look what happened. It's massive turnaround in game state.
Ebby gets caught, gets bailed out by Gang, but then Gang has to flash out on the extended play as well. DFM not willing to leave a man behind, fall to a team fight loss. Ebby flashes away at first, no longer has that tool available. The Gravitum comes out from Archer, meaning that Gang has to flash away, and now all of these tools are being slowly eroded away by V3, and they have this boldness to keep going forwards. The TF is not here yet. Ebby has not just re-engages here, but he's lost so much HP over the course of this, and it has allowed Archer to stack up his Conqueror. A red card comes into Ace. No stun available. Not the blue card either for that increased damage. Ace gets out with a sliver of HP. No kill registered, and Archer has not been targeted at all. He has that Infernum running. He flashes forward, and with the Hurricane built up, he manages to damage both Gang at Utapon at the same time, and he switches over to the Infernum for that last minute healing. Gets out alive. No one from V3
another
falls.
fight, and Ebby's gone super low. He's dead. We're going to take it back. So is Steel, and 2 fights in a row. DFM are falling apart. What is going on?
They're committing to the fight when they have globals. They try and go for the 5v5 versus the death ball of V3 with the Baron buff, and they put themselves further into their own pit.
The gold lead is gone, and with Baron and so many people dead, Utapon just couldn't stand and fire again. There was a great hook in the last fight from Reiner, and this one it feels like Utapon couldn't fight. 4-0, 2 fights in a row. They're going to lose Inhibitor. V3 are looking to try and end it.
This could be the game.
Utapon has got to hold on. Can he do it? Can he even think about stepping forward? There is so much damage in V3.
Back off. Okay.
Back away. But my days, that is the kind of lethal mentality we needed to see out of this squad. That was 4,000, 5,000 gold down.
Oh my word. This is reminding me a bit of something we've talked about off air in terms of DFM sometimes putting them into a place where they do need to outplay and they want to go for this game plan, which is kind of all on the same page. You know, they say, okay, we've got the global team comp. Let's try and break apart this Baron buff, but the execution isn't there. And they get taken apart at the seams, and now they are the one at a goal deficit.
And now that Aphelios, it was kind of okay, but nowhere near ready to fight, is now an item ahead, has a stopwatch in his 4-1 and bloody 5. Let's see the replay for number 2. What happened?
So it cuts in very early here. Ebby takes like 3 shots from Infernum off of the ward, gets hooked, gets at least, oh no, he does have the teleport away, the clone rather. Steel wants to engage onto this though, but he's far too deep. Ebby, after losing all that HP early into the fight, doesn't have a Cyclone to impact this fight. Also worth remembering here, Utapon has been forced out by the Maokai ultimate. It looks like the Gravitum... No, that wasn't one available. Archer just does his 200 years. It doesn't matter what weapon he has. Turns out you can just clean up the fight with anything.
And that's 2 fights in a row for me as well, where Ebby's Cyclones have been lackluster. They were so far ahead. They had a TF with 3 items and a lot of damage out of this Aphelios, and Ashe has not been able to free fire because Reiner has been threatening that Ashe with hooks. This is great play out of V3. It's also DFM not playing their gold lead.
Teleports!
But they're going to try and turn it around now. They found the global cop. This is more like it. It's going to be the numbers disadvantage. Archer in trouble. But wait, can they find the kill? There's so much healing. Severum and Onslaught is there. And that's the Calibrum ult out to try and get as much damage down as possible. Ace hopping back and DFM do not find the fight. It was a nice idea, but there's just too much healing.
And this is the problem with a global team comp. If the globals don't work, you're left with this huge window of time where now you just have to sit and take whatever V3 throw at you.
Whoa!
They don't kill Archie. He cleanses out, and with the tenacity it buys you for the next CC that comes in. Even though he's hit by the Ash Shell, he doesn't die. And now that DFM don't have that gate, they don't have the teleports, what are they going to do against this push?
The pendulum has swung so far back the other way for 85% favor for DFM. It is now 25% chance of winning for that squad.
Look at that landslide.
Have caused a glacial drop-off. It is absurd how much they've turned this game around. That is a 7,000 goal swing in 5 minutes.
And this is very unlike their loss to Sengoku as well, where actually things were potentially a bit more towards Sengoku for the entirety of the game. DFM had this game in their grasp. They had such a big gold lead, and they have lost back-to-back fights now, with themselves stuck, corralled into the base, and forced to fight V3 as their team fight composition based around Archer. How are they going to turn this?
A lot of damage if he can stay safe. If Gang can keep alive, it's not worked out the last couple of fights. He's not been able to stand and fire. If Ebby can get into the backline, he does a hell of a lot of damage too. But this Aphelios has now hit late game. We said, well, if V3 could stall out, maybe they can do it. They get all the gold in the world of that Aphelios of those fights off the inhibitor push, and now DFM are going to have to play smoke and mirrors for a while.
Resets are coming in for the side of V3. They're starting to pick up even more items. Now we have an extra blasting wand in inventory of Ace, and of course, both carries on the side of V3 have stopwatches. We talked about how that can be important for the TF if V3 were trying to shut him down. The onus is now on DFM to do the same to V3. They have to look for a way to find their way onto this Aphelios. He's building towards a death stance as well. Their job is going to be hard. There's a Tom Kench for the Ashe, don't get me wrong, but Thresh is one of the kings of peeling for his AD carry as well. DFM, let's see what you got. You're going to have to outplay.
Well, there is now Death Dance, at least for this Ashe, that will offer a little bit more resistance, matching so far a little bit of the items that Aphelios has. He's got that Aegis in there that will be building towards his own Death Dance, so keep your eyes on that. There are stopwatches as well for V3. That could prevent some of the picks that DFM want to go for. Buy time to get members around.
I was speaking about it being on the carries there, but then another one has just come in for Boogie, so it's not just the carries now as well. Boogie has that ability to go right into the middle of the enemy team, push anyone he wants back. If he ends up forcing out the Devour early, potentially you can get a 2-for-1 special.
Observer shows us that we should be making it 4 because Reiner just picked one up as well. That is just so many tools that can invalidate what DFM want to do, stall out these fights, and
Baron's
it's getting hard.
now.
All right, we're going to see where this one goes. This could be it. DFM needs to fight. If they are playing against this Baron, they will protect the... Well, if they're playing against the Baron, they've got very few chances left to avoid a 5v5. They need to see what they can do. Baron down to half.
Archer's charged up his overshield, Boogie using his safeguard and his innate lifesteal and spell vamp to keep himself tanking this for forever. This is forcing out this Grand Starfall.
Passes him behind him. Utopon's turned around to fire at the Maokai. It means he's not here for the fight. Ace is now very low. DFM are split. We're going to see Ace take out the monkey. And now DFM need to run away. They're going to try and jump on the Maokai, burn him down. He's going in forwards. But Saros, what are you doing? Interrupted. He's going to be in so much trouble. He couldn't port. It was such a good hook from Reiner, and now Archer is running rampant. He's throwing Infernum bullets everywhere, and there is only cinders of the gold lead that DFM once had. Cinders of the surefire win they were supposed to be securing here. And V3, it was hard, it was tough, but they may well have just proved themselves to be the best team in the LJL.
They may well have done, and still has nothing to say about that himself as he falls to his own early grave here as the last member of DFM to fall. And with the desynced death timers available for DFM, V3 might look to just take down this Baron with the 3 remaining members they have for themselves.
They don't have the minion wave to end, but they've got the members to take out the purple worm. Let's run through this Baron play and what happened.
So V3 are looking to force out globals, try and get DFM to burn their cooldowns in inopportune spots, and what we see is Utopon is wailing on a Maokai on the wrong side of the fight. Ebby is committed already onto the Baron fit alongside Steel, and there is nothing they can do to stop their carries from falling down. Saros is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and even though Maokai does eventually end up falling, he's bought so much time. Archer gets to clear up the rest of the team.
Oh, it was such a good hook from Ryan. I believe he flash hooked Saros to pull him out of the port as he was going to go turn up behind the Maokai. That was huge. And DFM splitting 3 and 2, Utopon going the other way, Saros kind of going back to help him briefly before turning back around. That kind of indecision is not there with V3.
No.
Utopon pumped a lot of damage into a Maokai. Archer did it into the whole squad of DFM.
He did, and at the very end of that fight, Utopon ended up having his Hurricane autos across the entire team. He's going to have to do a similar performance here, but this time it's going to have to be even more because this fight could end the game.
All right, there is the Ashe arrow. It's only onto Reiner, though. Every's in a difficult spot. It is a hook. It's onto the Tom Kench. He can't save himself. Reiner taking a bit lower, but again, it's just the Thresh. Stopwatch number 1 for Boogie down. Paz is still in the front line, and he will not die. Utopon, is trying to L2 as much as he can. It was a gold card into 8. He was taken very, very low, but he's now back over the blast line. Big Infernum ult coming through. Ebby is trying his best, but he can't get anything. Utopon is slaying the Maokai, though. Have DFM got what they want? Steel going forward, trying to find something, but Archer is just turning it around, and now the health bars for DFM are so low. Ebby tries to go in, but is not finding what he needs, and Boogie is chasing the monkey out, and Archer will not die!
We will not die and call ourselves a court lawyer because I've just witnessed a regicide. V3 taking down 2 of the members of DFM, barreling in, looking to take an inhibitor, looking to steal their advantage on this game.
Ebby's going to find his way back, so it will be a 3 versus 4. V3 haven't won it yet, but they've won the fight again. Boogie's going to back away to this Cloud Drone. DFM won't get Cloud Soul again. And Ebby tried, couldn't find it. Steel went forward, tried to get the stun. No one else could follow up. It was close. It was damn close. But look at the item discrepancy that's just about there for Archer. Oh, what a difference.
We fight, we die, we fight again. It's something like a paraphrase of Mad Max. They're really just going at it. Now the gold is just insurmountable, it feels, from V3. Even though Paz once again goes down in the team fight, he's buying too much time. We're going to go back into this replay. And once again, the ultimates are coming out from DFM very early into the fight. But it doesn't matter if you land an arrow onto Reiner. He buys too much time, just like Paz. The box goes down as well, trying to dissuade Ebby from cycloning too early. And all this time, damage is being put across the entire team of DFM. Paz goes in, does go down. He has his own stopwatch there, but all this time, Archer is full health. This is what happens with team fights, with something like the Severum ticking along. Even Ace is taken down very low, but it just doesn't matter. Archer is pulling off some of the team fights of his career right now.
And we saw the mid lane team fight where V3 escaped with slivers of HP. We saw it there where they escaped with slivers of HP one more time. And it is a fight of the AD carries, but it's 1,000 more damage every time for this Aphelios. And it's starting to show the difference here. DFM can't quite find the kills. Hurricane autos from Utapon aside, it's not quite enough. And with a QSS as well in for this Aphelios, it's getting hard.
It's getting hard, and one of the most difficult things for DFM right now is that there aren't any objectives up at the same time to try and split the map and force V3 to make hard decisions. The only hard decision they've got to make is in what manner they're going to dismantle DFM right now, because it does seem like all the team fights are going their way.
And Ebby needs to find a better cyclone. He had to flash out of the pit from where he was in a flank position that time. This is multiple times where he's tried to get in. He got flayed out of that last one. That would have gone onto Archer. He's just not managed to find it, and that's problematic. They need to kill that Aphelios. That is how DFM win it. But V3, all eyes are on making sure he never dies. And with his items, with the Thresh,
Phantom Dancer, with a Death Dance, a QSS, and he has a Mikhail's on his Thresh as well.
And a cleanse.
And he has a cleanse. He has 3 ways to reduce CC onto himself. I don't see how DFM can close him down all too easily. They're just going to have to go for the full burst.
They really have. That is the option left. And it was looking good. They were playing the global comp pristinely. Here comes that ult from Utapon.
Okay,
it's just cleanse away.
Worth noting that it's not just the cleanse. Actually, they double stack their cleanses down. It's QSS and it's the Mikhail's. It doesn't matter that there's still a cleanse.
You think that would be a massive mistake, and it is, but it's not game breaking. It's not push breaking because there's still the cleanse available.
It is. Infinity Edge up for Ashe now. That's a lot of damage. Every time we talked about Utapon just being behind Archer in that damage, we know what Ashe can do in late game team fights. We saw Prey at 2016 Worlds all those years ago making a name for himself on that pick. It could happen here again. I don't want to count DFM out. It's always a risk to bet against them, but this time V3, the cards are stacked in their favor, even against the TF.
They have 6,000 gold advantage right now. They have an Aphelios that is practically untouchable. And that is the problem. They had the team fight in mid where it was damn close, but Ebby's ult didn't quite land. Archer got to free fire. We saw it again around the dragon, and it's getting harder and harder every fight.
The water's rising, the temperature's going up. Either way you want to make the analogy, DFM are running out of time. The screws are being turned. Baron is about to come up as well. 25 seconds. DFM rolling around in their own squad here, not willing to get themselves picked off. And speaking of picked off, it feels like every time DFM are diverting any of their summoners, any of their cooldowns into trying to shut down one of these carries, it means you are ruining that mistake because Archer has the ability to go forward aggressively. If they have to put something onto Archer, they are at prey to getting picked off by Boogie and Ace. Let's see how V3 want to approach this next phase of the map.
Okay, so they've got vision control. They have the 5v5s. QSS is back up.
It's a Mercurial now.
It's getting, there's a stone plate as well on Reiner. People are getting damn hard to kill. Boogie's gone for a Sterak's. He knows he's not here to do damage. He's here to just buy time. He's here to be a frontline. He's here to make sure Archer stays alive. Here comes the teleport. The Destiny is up. They know where V3 is at. That Baron is already all but dead. Ebby tried to get onto Ace, but the Baron is gone. And there is now the fight that ensues. Nature's grasp coming forwards. Teros is getting pinged by the Sonic Wave, but that's all it is. Archer trying to keep up. He is running low on ammo for Infernum. Well, sorry, Severum, I apologize. And here comes Gang into the front line. He's a tanky boy as well. He's got Stoneplate. Look at Ace over to the side, though. Steel is so low, and his Guardian Angel is now popped. He's caught in the middle of nowhere. Ebby trying to run away. He's got the clone. It's a flash out from the Wukong as well. I've yet to see a flash in. Unlike Archer, who goes in. And the fire is there again. And it is molten waves and a volcanic team fight. Finally, Utapon shuts down that Aphelios, but it's too late because everybody else is dead for Detonation Focus Me, and it will be V3 moving to 6-0. It will be DFM falling. It will be V3 proving that, yeah, DFM is still pretty good, but we are better. They're going to move on to the Nexus turrets.
Archer goes down, but the arrow he fired has struck true, and it's against the Ash of all champions. It keeps going. V3 taking the Nexus.
And Detonation Focus Me, maybe they had it in the early game, but it is team fight after team fight after team fight that go the way of V3 and an Aphelios with 200 years in his time behind him.
6-0. Welcome to the top, V3. Enjoy your stay. We're going to have a talk about this afterwards. We're going to have to give us a minute to collect our thoughts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Split. Gentlemen, we just saw V3 Esports do 3 weeks in a row undefeated. 3 is their magic number, it seems to be. Can they push it up to make it 4? And that does mean Detonation Focus Me have fallen to a 3-2 record early on in this summer split. Unexpected. Gentlemen, these comps were very different from both sides, right?
They were. DFM once again went towards a global kind of team comp. We haven't seen Seros play the TF this year yet, so something new out of him. But we have seen them play around stuff like the Tahm Kench Pantheon before. This is another piece in that global jigsaw, and they did get out to an early lead, but then they fell apart against the team fight comp for V3.
They did.
I mean, there's a lot to be said, right? Initialized, they were like 6k ahead, 5 kills ahead. They had they had all the objectives, actually. They had 2 turrets, 3 turrets, actually, I think, at one point towards the end with Syros. They had 3 dragons, 2 Rift Heralds. How do you lose a game like that?
You try to turn around a fight from where Ebby was pushing in the side lane, had to burn Flash, get out a bit ugly, and then try and re-engage. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you've already burned a few little tools, that meant that Ebby could not get onto the Aphelios with the Cyclone and get stifled, where Saros was a little bit late because he was pushing in the side lane, and then Reiner lands the hook onto Utapon. Archer gets to free fire with Infernum and Hurricane. Utapon does not. The damage discrepancy means that even with the gold lead, they win the fight, and suddenly the team comp that was way behind is online with Baron and gold in hand.
And let's talk about the man himself, Archer, on, as I'm calling him, Mr. 200. This was just the reason Aphelios, just his skill cap just seems to be getting higher and higher and higher as the players keep getting more and more nuanced with his play. Nightmare, you must be just flabbergasted with the performance we saw from him today.
Absolutely. This guy was tracking cooldowns like nothing else. He had the tools to free fire in the team fights at the correct moments.
Yep.
You know, when you see that the Pantheon stun's down, you see that the Devour's down on Tahm Kench, the Ash Arrow, you know that you're free, then it's like, wait. There are no cooldowns up. I have my Severum Infernum. I can keep healing, keep AoEing, and keep critting the crap out of the enemy team. He goes forward, counts the cooldowns, and just wails on the team fights.
It was game time indeed for V3 after that about 20-minute mark, and it's interesting because the game was about 40 minutes. It's definitely a game of 2 halves. First half was DFM's. Somehow half number 2 was V3's, and we saw that roller coaster of gold. Well, it was more like a stock market crash, really, with what happened to
7,000 gold shift
in about 4 minutes. That happened,
absurd.
Which I don't know. I don't know if I've really seen such a huge gold swing in competitive play. It's a big one. Yeah. Let's talk about how V3 just seemed to have better team fights, and why do you guys think that really happened? Was it just Archer being a god with the counts that you think had, or was it maybe DFM having miscommunication problems, or maybe other things? I'd want to go to Initialize first for this, and then I'll have Nightmare.
Talk about Ebby? Do you want me to talk about Ebby?
I'll leave Ebby to you. So what I will say is that it was at least at the initial fight around mid lane and stuff was of micro differences in a lot of ways, where certain things didn't quite land. Archer gets stunned, and despite the gold lead, V3 had drafted for team fight. They had an Aphelios, they had a LeBlanc that could dive around and cause trouble. They had a Maokai frontline which could buy time for Archer to hit things.
Yep.
He was behind because of just the global gold, but once he got ahead and he had cleanse and double QSS, DFM were running out of options to actually kill the Aphelios. And at that point, they're like, well, what on earth do? We can't split the map. We can't win the team fight.
It does help when you also have Ebby just insecking every single team fight onto Syros or Utapon. That's
Boogie.
I thought I said Boogie. In my head, I said Boogie. I'm guessing I said someone else. But
You said Ebby.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps the Freudian slip, because the Wukong did not make the impact we wanted him to.
He did not. Please go on further with that. Why was this a hiccup for him?
If you look at the team comp of DFM, they have multiple ways to try and get into the backline through globals, through splitting up the map, and through a good damn Cyclone.
Yep.
The Cyclones from maybe going into the late game did not zone off Archer. They barely hit him. He was getting out, had to run through a box. I think that Reiner has some really good zoning boxes there.
Oh, yeah.
And when you reduce DFM into a one-dimensional front-to-back team comp, they lose a lot of ways to get onto the backline threats, and LeBlanc is hard to tie down anyway. They didn't manage to shut down the carries, and the carries did their job and carried V3 through to a victory.
So, gentlemen, what does this now mean? That V3 can come back from a 6k, well, this big of a deficit versus DFM and pull it back. And what does this mean for DFM, who couldn't close this kind of thing out moving forward? Let's go initialize first for DFM focused.
So I think for DFM, this is going to feel very bitter. They were a long way ahead, and that is probably a good thing to take. Because actually, this was really good for them for 20 minutes.
It was.
They played the map very well. They
flawless,
were
even
really good.
Almost.
Yeah. They was very, very good. There was a good outplay with Utapon down bot. That was. I mean, they all teleported down, but Boogie was unlucky to get that kill, sure.
Yeah.
But that was good response to what that play was. So that was really good. They were looking sharp. They were looking coordinated. Then it hit the team fights, and I'm still a little bit concerned about Ebby's Wukong. He needs a bit more time on it, and that weirds me out because it seems like a pick that Ebby should be good at, but he's not team fighting very well with it. So, two things. Good early game, they should feel proud. That one team fight around mid sucks. It was really sad. Ebby's Wukong.
And the snowball effect happened to DFM. Maybe that's also something they want to investigate if I was also giving my own 3 cents on that. But definitely good points and feedback from Initialize there. Nymera, what does this mean now for V3? Because this looks now very scary from my perspective now.
It's party time! Yeah, no, they are so happy with this. They are so happy with this. They've taken down every top half of the table team now, and they have done it with style, they've done it with grace, and they've done it with damn sure game plans. In this game, they saw their window of opportunity, and they took it. They went right through the team of DFM, and they couldn't recover. And when you have this kind of team with that kind of mentality, I would love to see this team further into playoffs, doing this in a best of 5, showing that they can do it consistently against one team. Because that's the next step for them. You've shown you've run over these teams in the best of 1s. Let's see what can happen in playoffs. See if you can keep up with the adaptation which happens throughout a series and take home a title for yourselves.
I need to go for a lie down, though, because there's going to be some serious nerves coming out of that one, because they were very close to falling apart there.
Actually, just jumping off of that, one of the big things to remember from V3 against DFM in playoffs is that we looked at Archer, and Archer looked out of sorts. In the first couple of games, he really just... I mean, he had that one MF game where he was running around, but honestly, Archer kind of just mental boomed a little bit in that series. It would be really cool to see if he can shore up his mental state and have this kind of performance for the entirety of the split, especially going into playoffs.
I 100% agree with you. What's going to be great for V3 is also they are going to be facing the last team they have not faced, that being Rascal Jesters, next week. You've got to feel be good about that. They've also got Axis next week, which means they are in a decent shot to go 8-0. So that will be one game off of DFM. But you know who gets to give them that question mark in week 5? DFM in their first game to go 9-0 for CGA to try and prevent them afterwards. It's going to be back-to-back. Week 5 and week 6 are going to be our super week, and it's going to be a lot of questions asked over to V3 Esports. Now, to close us out, though, we have got one more game, and it's a game from DetonatioN Focus Me. They're going to be facing off against Burning Core. Can Burning Core maybe try and get another win under their belt and get to the same record as DFM? Crazy things are happening over here in the LJL, but we'll be back very, very soon.